All right, so I'm gonna go through a couple of things with Nearpod for you. So, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a lot easier if you guys go through this with me. So the very first thing that I want you guys to do is I want you to open up a Google Slides presentation. I want you to open a Google Slides, just a brand new Google Slides. So go to your Google Drive, do new, click on Slides, and we're gonna open a new presentation. So I already have the add-on. This is the way that I do my Nearpods because it makes a lot more sense to me to do it this way. So when your presentation opens, up on your top toolbar, you're gonna click on Add-ons, and you're gonna click on Get Add-ons.
If I already have Nearpod,
Then you're fine. Not everybody does though.
I just want to make sure I'm like, I have to do this twice.
No, you don't. No, because see, I already have mine too.
Nearpod for Google Slides?
Yep, Nearpod for Google Slides. And then this makes it really simple because then when you have your add-on, you can just go back to add-ons, highlight Nearpod, and say Open Nearpod, and it will open up your choices of what you can add over here on the right side.
Okay, I need you to back up. I'm on add-on, what do I add on?
Nearpod.
Nearpod, so search Nearpod.
Mine says uninstall when you already have it.
Yes.
I can't find add-on.
So up on your top bar, so where it says like File, Edit, View.
I don't have that. I must be on that.
No, you're right. So up here, Julia, see how it has like the title? Then it says like File, Edit, View, Insert.
So here.
And then I add it on the slide or I add it in the drive?
Mine said that too, and I was confused. Just below it says install.
Oh,
Click that.
Yep, click that.
yeah, install.
And then
Her toolbar, that little right arrow, like so half of her toolbar was missing, so
Oh.
she couldn't see it.
Oh, okay.
and then
And then go down to Get Add-ons, and then you might
Okay.
want to, you're looking for Nearpod, so in that search area,
and now
search apps.
that's the add-on.
But maybe that's it, if that's it.
Okay.
We're still there.
So the thing about this is that if you are going to use any of these Nearpod activities in your slides, you do not want to, so if I already have this slide made, right, and I'm like, I would like to add a fill in the blank activity, and I click on my fill in the blank activity, it's gonna pull up a different block, and when I pick whatever it is that I'm picking, right, so you can type or paste your text here, and then,
Because we're still, installing.
no, it's okay. I just am trying.
Okay.
I'm just talking.
Okay.
So we can put text in here, but all I want to say is that like this is going to create a new slide. So if you create a slide and you want to add a Nearpod element to it, when you add that Nearpod element, it's going to add an additional slide. So don't get like crazy and create your whole slideshow and then expect to add Nearpod elements to it. You have to add the Nearpod elements as you're making the slides. Okay.
So what you're saying is there's not like Nearpod makes its own slide. It's not like you can be like, I want to add a Nearpod in the current slide that I made.
No. Well, it makes its own slide, but like you can still have a slide, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to add the Nearpod element, you would have to like add in a new slide to that.
Okay.
So, oh wait, we're still installing. So,
Question, when I open Nearpod, I went to add-ons Nearpod. It says convert to draw it or save and go to Nearpod.
Wait right there.
Which one should I choose? Save and go to Nearpod?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking.
what? What are you talking about, girl? That means that you're already in a slideshow. Did you create a new slideshow?
Thank you.
Or are you already in one that you've made? No, so don't do any of that. These are all of your things. These are all
What
of
are
your-
these things
no,
if they want?
because you don't want either of those.
Just ignore them?
No, don't ignore them, but this is saying if you have this slide,
Uh-huh.
convert to draw it, or save and go to Nearpod because you're done with the presentation. So we haven't even gotten to that part yet, so don't even worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's probably like the first like big trick is I have found it a little bit difficult to actually, you can create your Nearpod presentation in Nearpod, but it's much more difficult than creating it in Google Slides, where a lot of us are already comfortable. So I want you guys to think for a minute. Let's look at some of the options for what we can add on to make our presentations a little bit more exciting. So go ahead and open up that little Nearpod thing on the side, and I want you to just for a minute, I want you to click on some of those options. Yes.
How do I open up the Nearpod thing on the side?
So go back to add-ons, where you just installed, and click Nearpod,
Awesome.
and then it will open up on the side.
And it might ask you to sign in with Google. Or to sign in.
Yeah.
Well, I was having the same problem last time I hit sign in and it doesn't sign.
Then you might need to uninstall your add-on, Marva, and reinstall it.
So just hit that.
So when you go to add-ons, you go to manage add-ons, and then you can click the three little dots and uninstall it. Okay,
So just play.
I just want you to play for a few minutes. I just want you to see, like, click on some of those options, see what it brings up, see like what they do, because I want you to start to get an idea of like, how could I use this for an activity? How could I use this in my classroom?
Misspelling or something.
So with our internet issues, do you have this in a lesson? Does it do the same? Do you have internet issues in your room?
No,
Because if I share my screen
this
on the
isn't.
whiteboard in a Zoom meeting, my internet goes out.
So this is different. This is not sharing your screen. This is going to overtake the screen of your students' computers. So the way a Nearpod works is you have your side that's collecting data, and you give them a code, and they log into the lesson from their computer, and it will show them, like as you go through the slideshow, it will show them what you're seeing, like what you want them to see. So it's not anything about sharing your screen, it's all about everyone being connected to the same lesson and going through it synchronously. And there's asynchronous options as well, but for this particular one, I want you guys to think about like going through it together as with students. Okay, Marva, let me check your, what was
It was a bear.
a bear?
It was talking to me here.
So what was that?
Would that be so they can flip through the slides as well?
So if,
I usually do my PowerPoints on and do share my screen and go through the PowerPoint.
so it's not necessarily a PowerPoint, right? So like, you're gonna give information, but this is to make it more interactive, so it's not just students watching your PowerPoint. This is gonna be students engaged with what you're saying. Like they can see, so instead of having to look at the board, they can look at their screen and they can see what is on your slide, but then you're putting in elements for them to interact with it. It might be an open-ended question, it might be a poll, it might be they have to match terms and vocabulary, it's giving them a way to be interactive. Yes. Yes. Okay. And or not. Greenreturner.org. You know what I had to do last time though? Let's see. I'm gonna add you again because I feel like that's what I had to do for Cassandra too because it was weird. Oh, blah. Okay, check your email, Marva. Has anyone found anything super awesome that they want to share that like is totally calling their name? They're like, this is a really cool feature that Nearpod has.
Will you just tell us about Draw It? I'm assuming you.
Yeah, so Draw It is kind of interesting. So that is an example of something that I have done with Draw It. So we did this assignment yesterday. Where in the heck am I? Okay, give me just a minute. Oh wow. So something that I did yesterday with my students, I gave them an assignment that had a bunch of errors in it, and they had to highlight the errors. So with Draw It, the way that it would work is you could go to so something like this, right? And you can click on highlight, and you can highlight on the screen. You can add text boxes. You can add images. So it's really about like if you upload something where they need to maybe draw lines to connect something, right? Or they need to identify something in a picture or identify something in text that's already been written, then that would be a really good option.
But you choose from the choices that are there for you, right?
What do you mean?
So, can I make my own Draw It? Or,
So you can make whatever you want. There's not, like, it's not that there's already choices there. So when I go into my thing and I say, and I want to make a Draw It, right? And I open it. So I can upload a background image, anything I want. It's a worksheet, it's a picture of a soccer field, it's whatever I want. I can upload a picture of that. And that will be the background for where kids are going to draw over the top.
Can I ask a question about Draw It?
Yep.
Does the file that I choose have to be in a certain format? Like if I choose a doc, will it automatically turn it into a background? Or if I use a PDF?
So it needs to be a PDF, a JPEG, or a PNG.
Okay.
So you would need to do like a screenshot if you had just like a doc.
But if I had a PDF,
Then it's perfectly fine.
okay.
So
Yep.
I was going to have them like match up things.
Uh-huh.
I would need to make a PDF or whatever of it and then put it in there. I
Just do a
can't type it
screenshot.
in there.
Screenshots.
Just do a screenshot and then upload it as a background image.
So, but I can't type it in there. I'd have to have it somewhere else and then screenshot it or something like that.
Yes, if you want to do Draw It.
Okay.
Yes, because it has to be an image that they're drawing on top of.
Okay.
But if you're having them match things, another option for that, Cassandra, would also be, they have like the matching pairs.
Okay.
And so with matching pairs, this one is really cool because you basically create a pair of flashcards, and then it gives them like a page that they can click the terms and the definitions.
Okay.
And this is cool too because you can even add images, right? So let's say you were doing like PE terminology or doing something, or you were identifying plants or you were identifying something. You can add an image of that thing and then you can add the word so they're matching the picture of the thing and the word.
So in Draw It or the PDF viewer, the viewer you can't write on,
No,
but if you do it in Draw It with a PDF or a picture of our math assignment,
they can annotate it.
they can fill in the answers.
Mm-hmm. But we also, so another thing that you guys are, that at some point we're gonna talk about, we're also getting this thing called Cami, and it
We are
basically,
gonna do it.
what?
That is a for sure thing.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So for Cami, and it's going to be, basically Draw It, but better suited for that. Better suited for drawing on PDFs. And that's another add-on.
Because you heard that our math program doesn't have fillable PDFs. Did you
No.
hear that?
No.
It's joyful.
So, but that's why we're getting Cami. So it'll be okay. Like we're working that out. Catherine put in the request for that. So it will be okay. this really, I wouldn't necessarily use this for an entire assignment. Like I would use this for practice during your lesson, right? So I wouldn't do your whole assignment this way, but I would do like, here's our lesson, right? We're gonna like watch a video, we're gonna talk about it. Here's an example problem, fill that in on Draw It. And then on your side,
I'm good with the whiteboard for that.
yeah, just however it's a good way to also get your students at home to be able to, because they'll see the same thing that your kids in class see without having to share your screen.
No, I just mean the kids on their whiteboard doing their practice.
Yeah, no, it's totally up to you. It's like, that's your thing, but they do want us to leave today with a Nearpod made for an upcoming lesson. So that's the goal. So it's
Great.
not that we are like just playing around today. It's that we need to, and we have like 30 minutes. So I want to really quickly show you just a quick little tutorial video on creating a Nearpod so that you guys can just see what does that look like to go through the process of creating a Nearpod. And then I want to show launching a lesson with students, just so you guys can have an idea of what it looks like to create one and what it looks like to launch one with students, okay?
Today, you'll learn how to create a Nearpod lesson. There are two ways to create a Nearpod lesson. The first way is to create a lesson in Nearpod. The second way is to create a lesson in Google Slides. Or, you can also select your format in the upper right-hand corner by selecting the New tab. When creating a lesson within Nearpod, you can begin by titling your lesson. Next, you can add engaging and interactive content and activities by clicking on the Add Slide button. Our Content tab is meant to engage and teach students. Our Activities tab is meant to assess our students. You can also enhance pre-existing content by uploading your own pre-made PowerPoints, PNGs, and PDFs. You can do so by selecting any PowerPoint, PDF, or PNG from your computer drive, Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive. Once uploaded, now I can Nearpodize my PowerPoint. Nearpodizing simply means that you're
Nearpodizing?
adding
That's not
engaging, interactive features and activities to enhance your pre-made lesson.
I really like the Collaborate board. That's really fun. It's kind of like Padlet, but just inside your Nearpod, so they don't have to go to a
How did
different
she
link.
upload them now?
How did
When
she?
done
We can look at it in
Nearpodizing
just a
your
minute. I think it just
pre-existing
asks you.
PowerPoint,
You can upload a picture.
make sure to click Save and Exit. Here's my PowerPoint that's now enhanced with all of its Nearpod engaging interactive features and content. Remember, you can also create a lesson in Nearpod within Google Slides. All you have to do is simply select Lesson in Google Slides, and it will walk you through step by step how to create a Nearpod lesson within Google Slides. If you have any further questions, please visit nearpod.com/resources or email us at support@nearpod.com.
Okay, so the next one. So that's pretty basic overview of like how do we actually make our lessons, right? And I know it feels a little bit overwhelming, but it is super quick. when we can think about the way that we're assessing students in just a little bit of a different way. So if we are already going to give a quiz, like add that quiz to Nearpod. If we're already gonna have students match something, like add that to Nearpod so that they are able to all participate equally, right? So the second thing that I wanna show you before I let you guys have some time to create your Nearpod and answer any questions while you're creating, is launching a lesson with students. So this will answer your question about whether it needs to be everyone
You will learn how to
or
launch a
individuals.
session with students. Once in your Nearpod account, you will be defaulted to your My Library. In order to launch a lesson with your students, you must hover over any lesson in your My Library. Then select whether you'd like to launch this lesson in live participation mode or student pace mode. If you choose live participation mode, you will be able to push out this Nearpod lesson via the 5-character code, email, a link, or your LMS such as Google Classroom, Remind, or Microsoft Teams. If you choose to launch a lesson in student pace mode, you will have the ability to toggle on or off required student submissions. You'll also be able to provide a due date. You now have the same integrations available to you in order to assign students a student pace lesson. Email, social media, the hyperlink that you can copy and paste into any LMS such as Schoology, Seesaw, Canvas, or you can use our LMS integrations like Google Classroom, Remind, and Microsoft Teams. If you have any further questions, please visit nearpod.com/resources or email us.
So a live lesson is if you are actively teaching and you're going through the slides with students and you want them to stay with you and you want them to complete those activities in class while you give them that time. They have the options to put timers in there and that sort of thing so you can let students know how much time they have. I really like that way because then it's enhancing my lesson and I am still teaching my content. If you do student paced, that is going to be something that's probably not during your lesson, but afterwards as practice, or something that you are creating that has all of your content in it to be able to be provided on like a Wednesday or on a day when students are going to be working on it on their own, because then they'll be able to click through the slides. Live participation, they cannot click through on their own. You're in control of that. Are there any like glaring questions right now? I really think the best way to learn is like to open it and like start playing. So I would think about like what lesson do you have coming up that you could see yourself using 1 or 2 or 3 of these elements, right? Do they want to? And we talked about Flipgrid last time. You can totally integrate a Flipgrid in here. So you can totally like go through your slides, right? Have them answer a question here, have them do a quiz there, and then put a Flipgrid in. Have them do a verbal, like a video that answers is this your exit ticket or something like that.
Question.
Yep.
How overwhelming is this to teach to students? Because I've done Flipgrids now in my class, and it literally almost took like 2 days to teach them all how to look up Flipgrid.
Well, your students are not going to struggle because I've already done Nearpods with them.
Okay, good, because they were struggling.
I've already done several Nearpods with the 3rd graders, and it's really not hard. It's like it literally like you put it in Google Classroom, you share it, they click on it, it opens, they put their name in, they say join lesson, and then you're the driver.
I'm in charge of it. Good.
As long as you select live.
Yeah, my hardest thing was just getting the kids to like actually just type their name.
Oh, yeah.
Because it literally like
It's not hard.
it'll pop up and it will say, so like if I go,
My kids still have a hard time finding the assignments on Google Classroom, even though it says the date and the section.
so it will be, let me see if I can like open. So let me show you really quick, like this is the one that we just did yesterday. So it will pop something up like this, right? So even if it's not in Google Classroom, they can still go to this join.nearpod.com and they can put in this code.
Okay.
And they've all gone to Nearpod on their computer so that as soon as they start typing join.nearpod, like it should pop up.
Cool.
It will go through and give you, so this is what it looks like on the teacher side. So this was an open response question that I had. So this tells me my students' names, right? It tells me what they answered.
Good.
And I have the option to share this. So I can say share, and it will pop up on all of my students' computers, and you can say, like, let's look at this person's answer. Let's see what we like about this person's answer, right? I do, this is like what it looks like when they submit their drawings, right? Then I can open them and I can see, like, what did they highlight? I can share that. I can say, what is that? And if you don't want kids to see your student names and you just want to share things randomly, say hide student names, and it just puts little stars for their names.
Cool.
So then when you share it up on the board and use it as an example, it doesn't even have a student name on it. So nobody knows whose it is. And so I just go through my normal lesson, but it will pop up and it will tell you, like, who has logged in, right? It'll give you a percentage, how many students have answered this question. It will tell you, like, this person's currently typing or this person's currently working, so you know who to check in with, right? Without, like, it's very, like, I really, really love Nearpod. I really do. So we don't have a ton of time in here, so I want to stop talking, and I want to give you guys time to think of a lesson and just add like 1 or 2 of these elements into your slideshow that you can share with students. It could be for crew, it could be for expedition, it could be for a math lesson, a science lesson, whatever that looks like for you. But I'm here if you guys have questions.
So under the preview, is that how we can see what it looks like for kids?
Yes. Yep, preview will give you the option to see what it looks like for kids.
Nana, is that on your Google slide or is that in the?
So you'd have to go save and go to Nearpod.
Yep, so the step that I was missing was save and go to Nearpod.
You're like, hold on, what's happening?
And then once it's at the very, very bottom, that white button.
Okay.
And then I had to grant it some access, because it's the first time I've done it. And then one of the options, it said live, and then it said student paste, and then it said